Welcome everyone to the 22nd annual White Coat Ceremony of the Icahn School of Medicine at Mount Sinai. My name is David Muller. I'm Dean for Medical Education, and I will be introducing a couple of the speakers today. Everyone's hopefully found their seats, and if you haven't, sift in and figure out where you're going to settle in. There are, I think, very few times in life where we have the opportunity to just sit quietly, in particular when we do it as a community of people who have come together and reflect on where we've been and where we're headed, and this is one of those rare moments, so soak it all up. It is my pleasure to jump right into the ceremony and introduce to you Mr. Richard Friedman, who's co-chair of the Board of Trustees of the Mount Sinai Health System.
I must say, I was talking to Jim Tisch, my co-chair. This is really a hot ticket today, much more so than our football teams. So, good afternoon, everyone. On behalf of the Board of Trustees, it's my pleasure to welcome the class of 2023 to the Icahn School of Medicine at Mount Sinai. We're delighted to have you here. 7 years ago, I actually was sitting in the audience as a proud parent watching my son receive his white coat. Having seen his experience as a student here, and having sat on the Board of Trustees for 18 years and now as a co-chair, I can tell you that Mount Sinai is a very, very special place. It's exceptionally dynamic, innovative, creative, and one of the leading medical centers, academic medical centers. This ceremony reflects that. You're receiving your white coats today rather than in year 3 or 4, as at other schools would do, because clinical training at Mount Sinai starts at the very beginning of your medical education. You'll find outstanding faculty here, professors who are deeply invested in their teaching, who want you, their students, not only to learn medicine, but also to become leaders and innovators. You'll find the intellectual ability and breadth of our experience of your classmates inspiring. You are among the very top of the students with almost limitless potential. Many of your classmates majored in the humanities or math rather than a science. Math is a science. The class is 52% female, and 20% of your classmates have racial or ethnic backgrounds that are underrepresented in the field of medicine. Each of you brings a different perspective, a different way of thinking. That diversity of thought is critically important to advancing the field of medicine and finding solution to some of its greatest challenges. Opportunities abound here at Mount Sinai. You may find yourself deeply engaged in a lab analyzing genomic data that could unlock new clues to how cancer cells attack the body's immune system. You may soon be working on providing care to victims of torture as part of our human rights and social justice program. At our school, you can successfully pursue the ambition you've had since childhood, or you can discover an entirely new passion that leads towards an immensely fulfilling career. The trustees care deeply about you, our students. We want to ensure that Mount Sinai delivers an outstanding medical education, and we want you to be able to learn without a cloud of worry as you go through your medical school career. The anxiety of graduating with a financial burden that might severely limit your ability to pursue your dreams, your careers, and your personal lives. So earlier this year, the boards of trustees approved the Enhanced Scholarship Initiative that enables students with demonstrated need to graduate with no more than $75,000 of debt. This is I'd say that Jim and I are especially proud of this, achievement early in our leadership. This is a gift from the trustees. We got together the lead trustees who wanted to fund this initiative. We want you to achieve your goals and be able to contribute to society without worrying about the expense of your education as it unfolds. So congratulations on joining the Mount Sinai family, and you're going to find that this is a family, which is a really great thing. It's a different kind of a place, and I think you're going to see it early on, and maybe you're seeing it even today. And you're going to begin an exciting, life-changing adventure, and that message is not only to the students, but to your parents as well. I and all the members of the Board of Trustees wish you the best of luck. Thank you very much.
Thank you both very much for your support and for your inspiring remarks. I would like to introduce now Dr. Kenneth Davis, President and Chief Executive Officer of the Mount Sinai Health System.
Well, good afternoon, everyone, and welcome. This is a somewhat poignant and melancholy moment for me, too, because 50 years ago, I sat in your seats. That was a long time ago. There was no Stern Auditorium. There was no Annenberg. But the values that were entrusted to me 50 years ago are the same values that we entrust to you. As members of our community, we need you to uphold and advance those values that have defined us since our very earliest days. That is to say, a commitment to serve everyone, no matter what race, ethnicity, or ability to pay. But there's a new challenge today that adds a burden to our ability to follow through on our core values. It is a challenge that threatens our goals as a healthcare system and our ability to best serve our patients. It's a challenge that I must bring to your attention, despite what a glorious day this is, and to the intention of our entire community. The federal government has released a rule that could deny permanent resident status to some legal immigrants if they accept government assistance, including using Medicaid, food stamps, or housing assistance, all of which we know impacts on a person's health and well-being. In accepting federal government assistance, these individuals and families risk being labeled as a public charge. And under this new rule, it would jeopardize their ability to remain in the United States. What that means is this: if you use Medicaid, your ability to become a legal permanent resident may be at risk. If you use food stamps, you may be at risk. If you use certain kinds of housing, you may be at risk. But healthcare costs are intimately connected to social services. Helping people find safe and clean places to live improve public health. Giving legal immigrants Medicaid to manage chronic conditions improves public health. Food stamps improve public health. Our communities are healthier, our healthcare costs are lower when our government funds these services. And when our government implements policies to penalize immigrants, our communities suffer. Think for a second of the Statue of Liberty, the greatest symbol of what our country stands for. Think of the torch she holds, illuminating the pathway to liberty. Think of what is written on the pedestal beneath her. It, of course, says, and I'm sure we all know, "Give me your tired, your poor, your huddled masses yearning to breathe free." These words inspired people, inspired generations. Those words inspired the mom who came here alone, the young adults who came here with nothing, the person fleeing poverty and oppression. And I'm sure many of your parents and grandparents, and I know my grandparents. And I'm sure they resonate with the values that led you to choose both medicine as a profession and Mount Sinai as a place to study. Today, with this rule, those words on the Statue of Liberty ring hollow. What our government is doing is forcing people to make an impossible decision: health care or a long-term future in the country they love. It's a cruel dilemma that no family should choose, no family should face. What our government is doing is attacking immigrants. How does that affect you, the future physicians and researchers that are in this room? Quite simply, our communities will be sicker. Some of your patients will be sicker. In fact, interestingly, some of the consequences of this rule were spelled out in the very report that proposed the public charge. And I quote from that report, quote, "There will be worse health outcomes," unquote, and, quote, "increased use of emergency rooms and emergent services." The rule is supposed to stop immigrants from being a burden on taxpayers, but by not seeking preventive care and routine screenings, by not supporting a healthy home, by not subsidizing the cost of food, we know these individuals will cost the healthcare system more money down the road. And the chilling effect is real, and we've already seen it. A mother recently came to our hospital with her children. Her foot was in pain, and it was interfering with her ability to work. But she did not want to use Medicaid because she feared she would be, quote, "a public charge." The rule is not even in effect and is scaring people away from healthcare services. A recent survey found that 1 in 7 adult immigrants did not participate in a federal program because they were worried it would threaten their status. The government is stigmatizing legal immigrants. Are we telling them to abandon health care or food or housing assistance? Is the goal for them to suffer enough that they will voluntarily leave the country? This is not who we are, and it's not what Mount Sinai represents or what America's values have been. We are not a perfect country, but we always aspire to fulfill high-minded principles. Sometimes we fall short, but to turn our backs, what does that accomplish? So here is what I want you committed to when you leave this room. We must defend our ability to be healthcare providers for all. We must be ready to effectively deliver care to all our patients, no matter what the obstacles may be, and encourage them to obtain care. Even with this horrible, dangerous rule, Mount Sinai's doors will always be open to those who need care, regardless of income or where they come from. This has been part of our DNA since our earliest days, since our founding in 1852, when we were the Jews' hospital. A hospital was dedicated to taking care of indigent Jews with free medical care. And no government rule will stand in the way of those core initial values. We'll never back away from supporting efforts that improve health and well-being of our patients. We'll never back away from speaking out against regulations that contradict our values. By accepting your white coat today, you are pledging to uphold those values, to fulfill Mount Sinai's mission. And please remember, no one who walks through our doors is ever a public charge. Thank you.
It's my pleasure to introduce to you Dr. Dennis Charney, Ann and Joel Arickrantz Dean, Icahn School of Medicine at Mount Sinai, and President for Academic Affairs of the Mount Sinai Health System. Dean Charney.
Class of 2023, family and friends, and members of the Mount Sinai Boards of Trustees, welcome to our annual White Coat Ceremony. Every September, I stand at this podium to welcome a new group of uniquely talented individuals to the medical profession. In preparing my remarks, I step back from the noise of the workday world to reflect on what it means to don this white coat and join the order of physicians. Why do we have this ceremony? As you will notice, when you put on this coat and wrap the stethoscope around your neck, something will change in you. It is subtle. Did it make you smarter? No. Better looking. Sorry. The class of 2023 is as accomplished as any in our nation. To be sure, you come to Mount Sinai from top undergraduate colleges and universities. And your metrics, GPA, MCAT score, is as high as any other top medical school. But you are much more than these metrics. You are athletes, researchers, entrepreneurs, bakers, musicians, dancers, veterans, writers, and much more, including being advocates and activists for your local and global communities. Yet, when you don the white coat, while you still will be all those things, something will change. What will that be? I can tell you that it does not symbolize an induction into a class of elite academics. Rather, becoming a physician is a great privilege. It is a gift. It is important that you be thankful for all the gifts associated with becoming a physician and scientist. It will enrich your personal life, enhance your professional sense of purpose, and most importantly, improve the lives of the patients who place their trust in you. What are the gifts? We should start with the gift of family. You did not get to this time and place by yourself. Please give a shout out to your families and friends without whom you would not get to this place. Being a member of a family is a priceless privilege, which costs nothing but love. Related to the gift of family is the gift of gratitude. I suggest that you work on what has been called the golden list, the aspects of your life that you should be thankful for. This is an ongoing process, and it can keep your spirits high even during the darkest days. On your golden list should be the gift of friendship. During your time at Mount Sinai, you will make friends that last a lifetime. And I have found that old friends are the best friends. It is a wealthy person indeed who calculates riches not in gold, but in friends. And there is the gift of giving and compassion to your patients. The best way to get more out of life for yourself is to give part of yourself away. You will find by doing this, you can accomplish more than you thought was possible. Teddy Roosevelt said, "People don't care how much you know until they know how much you care." Compassion has been shown to have healing properties. It enhances patient outcomes, patient safety, and even enhances well-being in the provider, and that's you. As asserted by the Dalai Lama, compassion can be good medicine. A mind committed to compassion is like an overflowing reservoir, a constant source of energy and determination and kindness. It is like a seed, when cultivated, gives rise to other good qualities, such as forgiveness, tolerance, and inner strength, and confidence to overcome fear and insecurity. The compassionate mind is like an elixir. It is capable of transforming bad situations into beneficial ones. Another gift of being a physician and scientist, which at first glance might seem counterintuitive, is the gift of solving life's greatest challenges. As a physician, people will come to you in crisis, asking you for answers. Being a doctor means living up to the immense expectations of society. At any hour, in any place, it is assumed if a tragedy occurs, there will be a doctor to handle the case with grace and confidence. Both physically and mentally, doctors are expected to stitch up the victims of adversity. When epidemics emerge, when the unspeakable occurs, it falls upon physicians to be first responders, to explain how and why, even when it may be inexplicable. Yes, being a doctor is tough. The challenges are daunting. Yet, let me be among the first to tell you is incredibly rewarding. In fact, the very same elements that make it difficult are often what makes it worthwhile. Yes, today, too few patients will be cured. Sometimes, however, you will save a life. And some of you will make a discovery that changes millions of lives. Granted, we all come into medicine thinking that these events happen often, more frequent than they really are. But they do exist. It's not a myth. Yes, we are often called upon to show strength during professional and personal tragedy. This is both a burden and a privilege to show strength, to show courage, to inspire those around us by demonstrating resilience under duress. This is a gift. This is a gift unlike any in the world. Winston Churchill said, "Courage is the first of human qualities because it is a quality that guarantees all others." Courage is built every single day by the little things that you will do. It is not one giant event. And courage is believing in yourself, choosing to take action toward your goals and vision in the future. It is getting out of your comfort zone. It is never giving up. Perhaps your ultimate gift is the chance to dream big. Class of 2023, you have the ability to achieve greatness and ease the suffering of our communities. The stakes are as high as ever. What we need is a group of dreamers to rise against the tide of history and believe it is possible to succeed where generations past have not. You will have many medical facts to memorize, but do not forget to let your imagination run wild, to seek solutions to the most difficult problems we face as a people. And when your idealism is met with skepticism, remember that every great discovery started off as an idea in the head of some dreamer who stayed the course. 20 years from now, you will be more disappointed in the things that you didn't do than the things that you did. So throw off the bow lines. Sail away from that safe harbor. Catch the trade winds in your sails. Explore, dream, discover. That was Mark Twain. I wish I said it. Finally, I leave you with the following questions. What will it take for you to become a leader of the next generation of physicians and scientists? Will times make you a leader, or will you, as a leader, make the times? Resilience and creativity, emotional intelligence, are the foundation of great leadership. Coupling these traits with the gifts of family, gratitude, friendship, generosity of spirit, compassion, and courage will enable your dreams to come true so that the dreams of your patients will also. Class of 2023, I know that you have what it takes to be the next generation of transformative leaders. That's what Mount Sinai students do. And we, as your mentors, will be by your side. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Charney, Dr. Davis, and Mr. Friedman. I want to recognize the Mount Sinai Alumni Association for their continued efforts in supporting the White Coat ceremony every year. Not only does the Alumni Association contribute to making the ceremony possible, individual alumni continue to sponsor the purchase of student stethoscopes, white coats, otoscopes, right, and ophthalmoscopes. So please join me in thanking the Alumni Association and its members for their incredible generosity year in and year out. Thank you. You didn't know that, right? Otoscope, ophthalmoscope. So I now have the honor of introducing the 2019 Hans Popper MD keynote speaker, Dr. Zara Cooper. I want to thank Dr. Cooper for letting me take some liberties with her introduction. So it's a bit unconventional. Dr. Cooper grew up just blocks from Mount Sinai Hospital and came to this wonderful institution for all of her medical care while growing up, including an appendix that she chose to leave behind. She admits to working at Cheetos as an ad account executive before pursuing medicine and considers her current career in public health as penance for her contributions to our country's poor eating habits. Dr. Cooper was attracted to Mount Sinai for what she calls its progressive and holistic approach to medical education and clinical practice. She's an acute care, trauma surgeon, and surgical intensivist at Brigham and Women's Hospital, where she serves as the Kessler Director for the Center for Surgery and Public Health. Dr. Cooper completed her general surgery residency and critical care fellowship at Brigham and Women's Hospital, a trauma fellowship at Harborview Medical Center and the University of Washington in Seattle, and training in hospice and palliative medicine at the Dana-Farber Cancer Institute and Brigham and Women's. Her research aims to improve surgical palliative care and geriatric trauma. Despite all that, when I asked her before her arrival about her greatest accomplishments, she said without any hesitation, it was Dylan, her 9.5-year-old daughter, and her husband John, who runs a close second. So welcome, Dr. Cooper, and thank you for joining us. I couldn't help it, because we don't know if the remarks are going to be good, but you'll have this beforehand anyway, so there's no pressure, so thank you.
Thank you. I would expect nothing less of Mount Sinai. Thank you. Thank you. Good afternoon. There were a lot of things that I thought I would feel standing here. Giddy is not one of them, but I am actually giddy. Looking out at you, I am so excited for you, and you can't see yourselves, but so many of you look so serious. So I want you to just smile. I want you to smile. This is the cream. This is the good stuff. So enjoy it. Enjoy being here. This is a celebration of you. And it is an indescribable honor to speak with you here today as a proud alum of this storied institution. I'm deeply humbled to be here, and I am delighted to join the faculty and administration and alumni in welcoming you to this profession. I love this profession. It's not perfect, but I love it, and I learned to love it here, and you will too. In the time that I have with you today, I'd love to share so many things with you, but I'm going to impart 3 things that I think are important. The first is that you belong here. Every one of you belongs here. The second is that this coat is a costume. It's a costume. And the third is that you must always believe that what you did was right for your patient. You must always believe that. So first, each and every one of you belongs here. No matter your age, your gender, your race, your ethnicity, your undergraduate degree, your college, your orientation, your family income, your family function, your family dysfunction, whatever it might be, you belong here. You and you alone have something unique to bring to our profession, and no one else can do it, and we need you. We need you because we need people to give us new perspectives, new voices, to challenge us, to make us better, to hold us accountable to our patients and their communities, and the society that entrusts us with among the highest of callings, which is to heal, to alleviate suffering, and to teach. The old ways of doing things are not working anymore. In this country, life expectancy is shorter, infant mortality is higher, medical costs are sky high. Our fellow clinicians, friends, and families are frequently turning to drugs and alcohol to treat physical, mental, and psychic pain. I'm not telling you anything you don't know, but what I am telling you is that by becoming a doctor, you are now enlisted to lead. You have no choice but to lead. Doctors must be leaders. You have tremendous responsibilities, and those responsibilities are not just about the relationship between you and your patient, but about the community that's here. If you look around, you see people who love you, who support you, who honor you, to celebrate what you have accomplished. And you must remember that your patients come from communities too, and that your responsibilities are to them as well. So sitting here today, you are all now committed to leading all of us into a future of better health, and I thank you and I congratulate you. I am a very unlikely suspect to be here today. I hated math and science, hated it. I never thought I was smart enough. I went to good schools, but I dropped out of my freshman geology class. I took geology as a freshman, right? I dropped out of my freshman geology class, which was actually known as Rocks for Jocks, on my campus, embarrassed that I got a C on my first test. I didn't take my first chemistry class until I had graduated from college. I was a communication major, and as David mentioned, I worked at a large advertising agency for 4 years before getting my degree. After getting my degree. And like many of you, I am the child of immigrants. Among the first in my family to go to college, the first physician, and certainly the first in my family, and perhaps the first West Indian ever to give up a good job. When I told my father that I wanted to be a doctor, which would mean leaving my job, going back to school, and taking on hundreds of thousands of dollars of debt, he said, "You have a job. If you want to help the world, go and volunteer in a soup kitchen." And so as I was thinking about a career in medicine, I volunteered at a hospital to make sure I could stand the smell. I was in a completely foreign land where I felt I had no business being. There were definitely times I thought that I couldn't do it. But then I realized that I was drawn by the intimacy of the doctor-patient relationship, that there was no other way for me to experience life's rawest edges. I also knew that I wanted to serve and to lead, and so the calling wasn't just to medicine, it was to become a physician. I entered medical school just before my 26th birthday, which at the time seemed very old. And so when I walked through these doors, I felt like an imposter. I was waiting at every turn for someone to figure out that they meant to give the spot to Sarah and not Zara. But what I could not see at the time, and what some of you may not be able to see for yourselves now, is that I belonged. That this school recognized that it was because of, and not in spite of, my unique journey, my experience, my commitment to our profession, that I had the deepest desire to heal, that I had potential to care, I had potential to cure, I had potential to lead, and to transform medicine. And as you go through your doctoring journey, which will not end at medical school, almost every one of you will think about quitting. Every one of you will be uncomfortable. At one point, you will probably feel small, embarrassed. You might feel ashamed. You'll worry that you hurt somebody. You may even worry that you contributed to their death. You will dedicate your time, your body, your soul, your heart to do your part to repair the world. And because of this, you will always get more than you give. You have so much to add to this profession, and you absolutely belong here. The greater risk for you and for Mount Sinai is to not see this through. Soak in every minute of these years. This is an amazing place. This is truly an amazing, unique place. You may not recognize it until you leave here, but it is magic here. And it is magic because you are truly at the epicenter of the world. Not just all of the diversity that the globe has to offer, but also the social and economic inequity that contributes to so much that we seek to cure. Of course, there's the science and the medicine that you need to learn, but there's also the culture and the sounds and the smells and the customs and the rituals of each community that you'll pass through that you must absorb. Each hospital, each clinic, each specialty will have its own rhythms, pace, and language. Experience each as if you own it, as if there is absolutely no place else that you would rather be. Jump in feet first. You may just surprise yourself. Never in a million years did I think I would become a surgeon. I bought into all the stereotypes, the arrogance, the hubris, all the isms, right? I think I'm a pretty nice person. Right? So I am so grateful to the late Arthur Alphys, who is a legendary former chair of surgery at Mount Sinai, who saw a surgeon in me. He told me, as I am telling you now, that I belonged. Not in spite of who I am, but because of who I am. But as I said, I felt like an imposter. And the feeling was only exacerbated and intensified by this costume, the white coat. It was big and boxy and stiff, made of poly blend. A costume is an outfit worn to create the appearance and characteristic of a particular period, person, place, or thing. And when I first looked in the mirror at my new costume, I welled with pride, and then I just burst into laughter. What on earth was I doing in this white coat? There's a trend in medicine where some doctors are getting rid of the white coat. For them, it helps them connect more with their patients. Some patients get so anxious because of the white coat that it actually gives them high blood pressure. It's a condition called white coat hypertension, where patients only have high blood pressure in the doctor's office. It's actually one of the reasons why we send patients home on blood pressure monitors to check their blood pressure before we start them on medications, because for some patients, their high blood pressure absolutely disappears when the white coat vanishes. But I still wear my white coat for two reasons. One is that I am a black woman, and sometimes when people don't see me with the white coat on, they sometimes mistake me as a member of transport or food services. Honestly, it still happens. A few years ago, I was working with one of the best chief residents I've ever had the honor to train. She's now a cardiothoracic surgeon. I'm so proud of her. A black woman from California who by her chief resident year had completed 4 years of medical school, 4 years of undergraduate, 4 years of medical school, 4 years of clinical training, a master's degree, and 2 years of postdoctoral research. We had a patient on our service who was very nervous about the surgery that we had recommended, and so we said that we would come back when we had more time and sit with her and her family at her hospital room to discuss the details of the surgery and discuss her decision. I had come from an administrative meeting, and so I did not wear my white coat. We did everything we could to put them at ease, everything that I learned at the Marchand Center, right? I introduced myself, I explained my role, we sat down, right? We looked every person in that family in the eye, we looked the patient in the eye, and we explained to them the details of the operation. We asked them about their goals, their dreams, their priorities, how the operation might fit into that, what her day-to-day life would be like, what the risks and the benefits were. And after our 45-minute or so discussion, she and her family decided that they wanted to proceed with the surgery. And so as I got up, I said, okay, I'll go and get the consent form and we can review it and sign it. And she looked at me and said, oh no, don't worry, I can wait until the doctor comes to do that. So what I've come to realize is that when I'm in the hospital, operating room, trauma bay, or intensive care unit, people aren't really there to see me. They're there to see the white coat. Even now, when my pager goes off and I have to run to a trauma code, I hesitate. Do I or do I not bring my white coat? But I always do. Because when the stakes are high, my clinical team and my patients need to know who's who. They need to know that the white coat is behind them. But it's not just the coat. You and the coat are inextricably linked. The person in the coat must embody the highest ideals that it represents. That you will put your patient's needs above your own, that you will be highly skilled, that you will have integrity, and that you will care. The white coat, which was once just a costume, has since become my second skin, integral to who I am, my role in the world, and my ability to do good. Without it, I am someone else. And so when I am called Ms. Cooper, or Mrs. Cooper, or Mrs. Ewing, which is my married name, I pause. Because now I reflexively respond to Dr. Cooper. And so this coat, which today may feel awkward and strange, represents your present and your future accomplishments and who you will become, what you will mean to the world, and gives you an incredible opportunity to heal. Wearing this coat, you have tremendous responsibilities, first and foremost to your patients, and again to your community, and also to your community, because none of us succeed alone. Look around you. The people who support you came here to celebrate you, and we all stand on the shoulders of giants. They too are in the threads of this coat, and we should all thank them for making this day possible. So this is the most important thing I will say, and so if you forget everything else I said, hear this. Do what you believe is best for your patient. Always, always, always. If the patient is at the center of everything you do as a professional, you will never make the wrong choice. I believe that there are few absolutes in life, but this is one. It is hard to describe the gratification of saving someone's life, of bringing a new life into the world, of making a patient's life longer or more enjoyable, or easing their transition to death. And you will do each of these things before you leave here. You will witness extraordinary things. You will be entrusted with life and death decisions for complete strangers, and will see the human body in almost every possible form and condition. This will be hard. You are human, and so you will be tempted. At times, you may be tempted to favor expediency and to cut corners. For example, you may decide not to check a lab test. You may go home for dinner instead of checking an x-ray. You may hit snooze and sleep just 8 more minutes. You may avoid asking your patient certain important questions because you worry that the answer will take too long and you don't have time. You may worry about what your colleagues may say, and you may be tempted to make decisions that will avoid controversy. In other circumstances, you will do everything right, and things still won't go well. A patient may suffer a life-threatening complication after surgery. The medication you prescribed won't work, or worse, it will work too well, and they may suffer from side effects. All of these things are not just possible, they are likely. You will experience the greatest joy and satisfaction that life can offer and the deepest regret and sadness and self-doubt in this work. But through it all, what will keep you centered, what will help you maintain your ethical compass, avoid burnout, maintain hope, optimism, and joy in this work is that you always do what is best for the patient. Early in my attending years, I cared for an incredibly sick woman. She had a life-threatening condition called mesenteric ischemia, where she had a blood clot that cut off the blood supply to her bowels. By the time I met her, her bowels were dying and leaking bacteria into her blood and putting her body into shock. The only possible treatment for her was surgery. It was highly likely that she would not survive the trauma of surgery because she already had a bad heart, bad lungs, and kidneys that required dialysis. Even if she did survive, surgery would have left her permanently connected to a ventilator and in a nursing home. Her heart and lung, which were already very, very sick, were shutting down because of the infection. And with or without surgery, she would suffer. And in talking to her family, I started to believe that the most compassionate choice was not to operate. Her goals were to go home. She hated the hospital. She had said she didn't want to ever have any more machines, and she didn't want to live in a facility, and that was the best that surgery could offer. But I agonized for this woman. I was up all night with her family, and this was fairly early after I had started being an attending surgeon. I did not want this patient to die on my watch. To cut is to cure, I thought. The most expedient thing to do was to operate, but I didn't think it was the best thing for her. Yet I wondered, was I abandoning her by foregoing surgery? What would my colleagues think? What about those who trained me? I didn't want to be viewed as hesitant. Was I weak? Was I a coward? Ultimately, I did not operate, and she died comfortably with her family at her bedside. But my colleagues criticized me openly. Some said I gave up too soon, and that if I had operated, I could have saved her. I felt very alone. Did I fail? How could I be a surgeon who let life slip away? But as I replayed the scenario over and over again, I reminded myself of what was important to this patient. It was not what my colleagues thought. It was about her quality of life, not mine. Using all of my knowledge and skills, I treated her and her family to the very best of my ability with respect and compassion. And throughout it all, I believed I did the very best for her. And in the end, you must honestly be able to say that you believe that you did the best for your patient. Always. Finally, I want to add one more thing. While you're here, make it a point to try to go to Central Park every day. Explore it as much as you can. Get to know every corner, every nook and cranny. It is a magical, restorative, and life-affirming place. It has been a great honor to speak with you today. I see myself in every one of you, and I do hope that you see a little bit of yourself in me. We are now connected as part of this incredible profession and part of the Mount Sinai family, and I wish each and every one of you the success and all the sweetness that a life in medicine has to offer.
Wow. Thank you, Dr. Cooper. I must say that was authentic and inspiring. So thank you for sharing your thoughts with us and with the class. I'm Valerie Parkas, Senior Associate Dean for Admissions and Recruitment. And I'm very, very proud to be here today and to see all of you and to see all of you. So it's really a thrill to be here. Thank you. I have the pleasure of presenting the 10 physicians who will be coding the class of 2023. We honor these physicians who exemplify outstanding teaching and clinical care at the Icahn School of Medicine at Mount Sinai. Please come to the stage as I call your name. Carolyn Cromwell, Assistant Professor of Medicine, Hematology, and Medical Oncology. Monica Dweck, Associate Clinical Professor of Ophthalmology, Director of Career Planning Services. Sharon M. Edwards, Associate Professor, Pediatrics and Pediatrics Associates. Allison T. Galt, Assistant Professor of Pediatrics and General Pediatrics. Meredith Grossman, Assistant Professor, Pediatrics and General Pediatrics. Alicia Hurtado, Associate Dean for Medical Student Wellness and Student Affairs, Assistant Professor, Psychiatry. Craig Katz, Clinical Professor of Psychiatry and Global Health. Maria Maldonado, Associate Professor, Internal Medicine. Roberto Posado, Associate Professor, Pediatrics and Infectious Diseases. Talia Schwartz, Assistant Professor, Medicine and Infectious Diseases. It is now my pleasure to introduce this year's roster reader, Dr. Rina Karani, Senior Associate Dean for Undergraduate Medical Education and Curricular Affairs. Thank you.
Good evening. Welcome to the class of 2023. It is truly an honor to be part of this very special ceremony. I kindly ask those of you in the audience to hold your applause until after all 10 students in each group have been called to the stage and coded. Please note that I will be reading each student's preferred name, which may differ from that which you see in the program. It is my pleasure to now begin calling up the class of 2023. Eric Alerte, Muhammad Ali, Samuel Allen, Ilya Aronsky, Nicholas Athaide Rizaro, Kelsey Aoyang, Abdul Salem Ba, Ulina Baldwin, Isha Bansal, Joshua Barlow. Christopher Belair, Soit Barakat, Natalie Berger, Susanna Lee Bergstein, Bazalot Burhanu, Samantha Brown, Julie Michelle Burns, Michael Chang, Benjamin Chi, Samuel Kiakia. Lindsay Clark, Elizabeth Mowry Clifton, Ariella Cohen, Ella Bethany Wood Cohen, Dante DeHabra, George Danius, Alexander Dash, Jared Deshevsky, Stephanie Deeb, John Everett Denton. Alex Devarajan, Jennifer Diaz, Tahara Doctor, Nicola Feldman, Xanthi Galati, Michael Gao, Marielle Garcia, Jennifer Gates, Emily Gelber, Eric Gang. Kyle Gibson, Shivi Gilja, Matthew Gluck, Cody Page Goldberger, Shori Gadaparte, Gary Xavier Gravesandy, Jacques Guyot, Katie Hans, Taylor Marie Harrell, Gabriel Hernandez de Jesus. Josimar Hernandez Antonio, Terrence Hughes, Isla Hutchinson Maddox, Sidra Ibad, Tyler Italiano, James Wheeler Johnson, Alexander Kalitsky, Samir Kamath, Harrison Kaplan, Dustin Key. Jillian Keegan, Rebecca Kellner, Spencer Kim, Elliot Samin Kim, Madeline Hije Kim, Emma Danielle Klein, David Kohler, Niyathi Kona, Krishna Kothari, Jag Kotapalli. little bottleneck here. Dale Lapola, Patrick Lasowski, Jacqueline Lee, Jessica Lee, Samuel Lee, Riva Pollock Lechinger, Sherman Lerm, Kenneth Lee, Christine Little, Caroline Liu. Madeline Marie Louie, Cynthia Liu, Luke Maley, Naum Ferris Mariotti, Christina Marshall, Naomi Mayman, Cecily McIntyre, Paulos Mengstab, James Meyer, Meredith Mikolopoulos. Ariana Mills, Kate Moody, Chang Yun Moon, Olivia Mushiski, Victoria Mraz, Juan Munoz, Sarah Nathaniel, Ariana Benet Neal, Tonia Amatola Ogundipe, Jeffrey Okewumi. Paloma Orozco Scott, Josh Park, Yeji Park, Matthew Day Young Park, Om Patel, Bhavna Patel, Megan Paul, Jonah Poster, Gabrielle Alexia Price, Ezekiel Ramos. Tiffany Marie Ramos, Manasa Geetha Rao, Paige Ratner, Teja Ravivarapu, Shoshana Rosenzweig, Christina Rosito, Nikita Roy, Mia Sadi, Gabriel Santos Malave, Charlie Saylor. Ira Schlossberg, Karina Sia, Ruhi Shah, Akash Sharma, Dawi Shin, Zachary Spira, OJ Stewart, Jason Storch, Shumil Said, Shelley Teng. Claudia Raquel Torres, Ushesh Trivedi, Connor Tuckle, Ume Verdula, Rachel Waldman, Kevin Weiss, Stephanie Wu, Stephen Yoffe, Haley Zaren, Magda Zeudi. Congratulations, class of 2023. I ask that you stand as a class. Stand as a class. Stand as a class so we can all applaud you. And students, let's applaud your family and friends once again for all that they have helped you achieve. I now have the pleasure to present Dr. Cathy Berkman, Assistant Clinical Professor of Psychiatry, who will administer the student oath followed by the faculty pledge. For the past several years, Dr. Berkman has coordinated and hosted monthly Sunday night dinners for our third-year medical students at her home, allowing students to get together for faculty-led groups to receive support during a year full of transitions. Dr. Berkman.
Congratulations to the class of 2023. You all look so bright and shiny in your coats. We are now entering the 8th year of a burgeoning Mount Sinai tradition, asking our first-year medical students to join together and draft and ratify their own student oath. Through this process, our students were given the opportunity to establish, commit to, and share the professional ideals that will govern their time at the Icahn School of Medicine at Mount Sinai and beyond. Last week, in their Art and Science of Medicine course, 18 groups of students each generated what they held to be their most important ideal as they embark on their medical education and career. Representatives from each of these groups then worked with my colleague, Dr. Craig Katz, to combine these 18 ideals into the oath you are about to hear. I now ask the Icahn School of Medicine at Mount Sinai class of 2023 to stand up and join me as we recite your oath. As lifelong students and aspiring physicians of the Icahn School of Medicine at Mount Sinai class of 2023, we commit to leverage our whole selves for the care of our whole patients, provide care worthy of trust, serve patients with competence and humility, courageously advocate for our patients and their communities, and practice an ethics of generosity with ourselves and others. We strive to remain intellectually curious, drive the forefront of medicine through collaborative, impactful innovation, and disseminate what we know and learn. We acknowledge our power and privilege, and we seek to identify and dismantle personal and systemic biases in the name of our patients and our communities, and use our collective power to be critical of the systems in which we live and work and strive for betterment. We hold ourselves accountable for acting on the intentions we set forth today. You may be seated. Just as the medical student oath was written and ratified by the class of 2023, this past year our faculty participated in a similar process by which they discussed and submitted what they considered their highest ideals as medical educators. These ideals were then incorporated into the new Mount Sinai Medical Educator Oath, which today we will recite for the first time. I now ask all faculty members of the Icahn School of Medicine at Mount Sinai to stand and join me in the Medical Educator Oath. The mission of the Icahn School of Medicine at Mount Sinai is to produce physicians and scientists who are prepared to enter society as informed advocates and activists who are able to advance clinical care and science and promote change. We, the faculty, seek to embody this mission and so pledge the following to you, our students, in our effort to help you become the best possible physicians and your best possible selves, to serve as models for caring, competent, and unbiased care of our patients, to engage you in the joy and privilege of practicing the art and science of medicine and the rewards of learning for life, to uphold the highest standards in scientific and medical research, to inspire you to respect the art and science of medicine, but also to question the status quo, to recognize that our opportunity to teach is also our opportunity to learn, to not just teach, but also nurture, to share of both our craft and ourselves, to demonstrate that self-examination means as much as examinations, to be kind in evaluating you and ourselves, to never lose sight of our wellness and the wellness of all those around us, to have the courage to stand up for the oppressed and vulnerable and against prejudice and racism in all that we do, to be aware of our own biases and those around us and strive to eliminate them, to meet you where you are and get you where you want to be. And finally, to never forget as physicians, scientists, and educators what we know as human beings. Please be seated.
Thank you, everyone. Before we conclude, I want to thank the Department of Medical Education staff, cast of thousands, for their assistance today. Yep. We know what it takes to make something like this really flow seamlessly and feel so beautiful, so thank you to all of the staff. And again, to thank the Mount Sinai Alumni Association for their ongoing support. All those who are present today are invited to attend a reception. It's going to be in the Guggenheim Pavilion, which is across the lobby by the Fifth Avenue entrance. We ask you in the audience to remain seated until those on stage have exited the auditorium. Students, please remember to pick up your stethoscopes and the other stuff, which will be distributed by the Office of Alumni Development near the cafe on the way to the reception. Please also, class of 2023, remain seated for group photos before you head across. The 22nd Annual Icahn School of Medicine at Mount Sinai White Coat Ceremony has now concluded. Thank you and congratulations.